Hello and welcome to the Bodysurf podcast with your budgie boys, Tim and Woofo. We are just heading home from a lovely weekend away at Whomp Camp, and Woofo, what a weekend it was!
Yeah, what a good time. Had a ball.
A few days ago, I had a look at the forecast, and we were told there was going to be a little bit of a heat wave. How do you think the weather held up for us?
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, at night it got cold.
Yeah, it was nice in the sun, but Treachery's where we stayed was a pretty kind of shaded area.
Yeah.
So you don't really cop the sun the whole time, but yeah, it was pretty nice. I was in shorts and a t-shirt.
We had a few hours throughout the day where the sun was out, but I feel like most people were still opting for the steamer.
Yeah.
Didn't see many people with the sluggos out there, although
there's a couple.
A few boys got the old
Jared and Uga,
the old rigs out.
Yeah.
I like seeing that. I like it. I like people braving it. And what's interesting is when people jump in with the sluggos and they actually stay in the water for a while.
Yeah.
Because when I go in the sluggos, I'm in there for about 10 minutes and I go, that will do me. But I saw Jared and Uga, yeah, they went in for a while, which was great to see. But no, I think we had a few steamers on here and there, and we were staying pretty warm. But oh man, we drove all the way up to Whomp Camp, about a 4-hour drive to Tetri Camp, and oh, Woofo, what a weekend it was. Now, a bit of controversy actually. We have to discuss this. Now, there was only one founding member of Whomp Camp there. Born with gills, Russell Pollard was the only founding member to show up. The other blokes from the Central Coast, the blokes that organise it, they were a no-show. What's going on there?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Kook Man's kind of given us the bum steer by organising it to start on a Friday, because apparently he was there Thursday night and left Friday morning.
I think he just wanted to avoid us. He put the invite out. He knew we were coming, and he's like, "Nah, I don't want to hang out with these rat bags." So Kookman's done the old bail. Kookman, by the way, was the Whomp Camp helpline operator.
He was.
He knew all the goss. He was the one that set the dates, who set the agenda, and then he was a no-show. So pretty disappointing from him, and it was unfortunate that we didn't get to catch up with him. But hey, there's always next year.
Exactly.
And hopefully next year we won't have the same sort of issues we've had this year with COVID-19. Now, the coronavirus has meant that a lot of the guys from interstate were unable to get into the New South Wales border. So that means that Goldie Sliders, who are a huge present at Whomp Camp last year, they were unable to attend. Who else weren't able to come? I guess that's really it. A few people maybe from Melbourne or Western Australia also weren't able to come, but that's a big commitment coming from Western Australia. Even for us, it's a 4-hour drive.
Well, South Coast didn't come either, and I suppose we were the most southern people coming, and no one really north of Treachery came down, did they? I'm not sure.
Well, we've actually had a bit of a realisation that the Newcastle Bodysurf scene is starting to take off. Now, I've heard little rumours here and there that Newcastle is the new hotspot for body surfing, and a few people have actually been in touch with us saying, "Hey, I'm a Newcastle body surfer. I'd like to get involved in the sport. Do you know of any teams?" Now, they've started a team. They're called the Stocko Wompers, and they had a huge presence there over the weekend. They brought a minibus.
Yep.
Now, we didn't know much about these boys, but we had a few beers with them, and we had a chat with them, and we got to know them a bit more. But it really sounds like Newcastle body surfing is starting to take off, which is great because it's such a lovely area and it's got some great beaches for body surfing. The question we put to them was, are they going to have a team for Whomp Off? And they were a bit unsure about it, mainly because they're not sure if they'll be able to get 10 people together to compete, but also with all the COVID virus stuff, how's Whomp Off going to work this year? That was the big question at the campfire each night, wasn't it, Woofo?
Yeah, for sure.
Is Whomp Off going to go ahead? Now, if it was going to go ahead, there's going to be some big changes. That might mean less teams, less people competing. It might also mean, it's an exclusive New South Wales competition this year. So we need to get Ricky Gilby from War Handplanes. Another no-show.
Where was Ricky?
Another no-show. I've got the inside scoop about this one.
Oh, hit me.
They call me Buzz. So Ricky is actually planning a little bit of a weekend away next weekend with he's going away with Corey and he's also going away with what's his name? Old mate. Peter Spurlow.
Okay.
So Peter Spurlow and Ricky and Corey are going on a snowboarding trip or a skiing trip. They're heading to the snow in a week's time. So, you know, Ricky's a new dad. He's got the bub. He was unable to attend Whomp Camp this year. So we wanted to try and get the scoop about Whomp Off and if he's going to be running it, and what the changes may be if he has to come in line with some COVID-19 restrictions. But he was a no-show, and fair enough, you know, he's a very busy man. Oh no, we're about to hit a gravel road. This might affect our audio quality. No, it's all good. I was going to say, I think we're one of the first podcasts to broadcast from a car.
Is this legal?
It's definitely, it's pushing it, isn't it? Because technically you're hands-free.
Yeah.
It's like talking on a hands-free mobile phone. I've just got this microphone right up in your face. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's legal or not. If we get pulled over, what would we say?
I don't know. I'll blame you.
So, yeah, Ricky was a no-show, which is a real shame because I love watching him ride, but I also love getting him on the cheap tawnies. He loves a red wine.
He does.
Loves a port wine, and last year we buttered him up real good by getting him pretty drunk and then asking if he would sponsor us. So that's how the Budgie Boys got our official hand plane sponsor, War Hand Plane. They sponsor the Budgie Boys, and Corey was there being a bit of a salesman this weekend. He had a few of the bad fishes out there. He had a few special editions. You know, there's a rare white badfish that's it's like the Moby Dick of the badfish. It's a rare beast, but there's 4 of them, I think, going around. And I also got a glimpse of a purple badfish, which is very nice, because we know Ricky recently released the red badfish, which they had a competition for to name it, and I think someone won that by naming it, what did they call it?
Sunset Red?
Sunset Red.
Yeah, I think so.
A lot of our names were not allowed even on the Instagram. I think they got deleted, so apologies for that, Ricky. But yeah, what did you feel about the vibe this year? There was a few new faces, there was a few old boys, but I guess around the campfire last night, you wouldn't really know that COVID was in place. Like, we were just living our life as best we can, and we still had a few heads around that fire. Who was a standout for you? Who did you have a good chat to, Woofo?
I had a really good chat with John Watson from Newcastle. He's now in Newcastle. Was originally on the Central Coast. The Stocko boys, that was the first time we'd all met them, and they were an absolute hoot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just good to catch up with some new people that we hadn't got to see before.
Yeah, I think the great thing about having you there, Woofo, was you were executive producer of the podcast, but you're also executive producer of the fire. So your nickname is Woodo, and you were stoking that fire real nice. But that was where a lot of our great, deep and meaningful conversations were had, and people were talking about philosophy and theology and getting through all the hard topics, religion and politics. But we were able to have a few good chats about body surfing, and the 2 guys that you mentioned, John Watson and also the Stocko boys, we were able to sit down with and have a chat with, and we'll be bringing you that podcast in a few weeks' time. So over the next few weeks, we'll be doing a Whomp Camp special. Each week we'll have over the next few weeks we'll have a guest from Whomp Camp, and hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of what goes on there. And if you're thinking about coming, maybe it'll get you here next year by just seeing what we get up to. So we had a good chat with those guys, and we went in pretty cold, not knowing a lot about them, but they're just absolute stokers, aren't they? They just love the sport and love talking about it. And John Watson, that's his 5th year at Whomp Camp, so he's been going for a while, and yeah, it's interesting. There was a bloke that rocked up. Was his name Sean?
Yeah, Sean from Lane Cove.
Lane Cove. Now he's not on the Instagram.
He's not.
He's sort of like I guess a phantom bodyboarder. Like, he's just the ghost that walks. So he somehow got the bat signal that Whomp Camp was on, and even after a few date changes, everything, he made his way there, and he was absolutely just loving it. He bought a bad fish of Corey. He had a bit of his own gear, and I just don't understand how he knew about it.
Yeah, I've got no idea. But
Who told him? Did he get a secret text message? Because we had to sort of lobby and campaign to figure out what was going on with the helpline.
Well, he also said he'd looked up the podcast once before and got halfway through one episode, and that was it.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that.
So he's not on the pulse. But today, like, he's a bit older. He's probably I don't want to guess his age, but he's probably got a fair few years on us guys. And today he was definitely the standout surfer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What'd you see him pull into?
Just the left-handers up in the corner was just really kind of wedging and A-framing up, and he was just taking on everything.
So we went for a surf this morning, probably around 7 a.m. We got up and we walked to Treachery Beach, and this beach is probably about a 4-minute walk from our tent. Yep. So I was up, I had me sluggos and me wetsuit and me flippers, and a few people were bringing out their floppy buckets full of different hand planes. A few people had their pipos. Didn't see anyone on a boogie board.
No.
Didn't see anyone on a stand-up, but everyone was out there body surfing together, and you look at a wave and there was probably about 10 people lined up across it ready to go. So we were having a good old time, and yeah, there was definitely some standouts from today and also yesterday. There's a few photos going around. Everyone last night was going through Dave Malloy's... I'm getting a phone call. Sorry. Oh, it stopped recording. I don't know how I'm going to cut that together, but we'll work that one out later. Yeah, so everyone last night was going through Dave Malloy's laptop around the fire, looking at all the photos. So there's some great photos of some people that were absolutely shredding. You got a great photo of Dean Jezza, yeah?
Yeah.
So Dean Jezza from the ESBS boys, he was shredding all weekend. He was in the water a lot, and a lot of people were complimenting him on not only his stamina and how he was going, but how quick he was going across some of those waves.
Yeah, for sure. He's a pretty elusive character. I don't think I saw him around the fireplace once.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to keep going up to him to just tell him about this shot I've taken. It'll be on the Budgie Boys Instagram soon, but I never really saw him outside of the water. He just disappeared.
That's true. I think he was always sort of back at his site, just having a cook-up at night and having a few quiet ones. But yeah, there were some big characters there, absolutely. The Barrel Pig was there. Who else was there? Well, we brought along a newbie. We brought along young Aaron, who's... he's new to the sport, but an absolute frother. He loves riding all his pod gear, but he had a great little surf today. He said he got a few screamers and was very happy with that. He was sleeping in the back of his car, wasn't he?
Yeah.
What sort of car does he drive?
It's a Triton Ute.
A Triton Ute, a big red Triton Ute, and a lot of people didn't believe that he could fit in there. I think he had a bit of overhang. His legs were coming out the back. But he slept in there both nights, never heard a peep out of him, never complained. But what was your setup like, Woofo? You had a nice little bed.
Yeah, I had the Taj Mahal. We got a pretty big tent, which is definitely overkill for what we had. But the king-size mattress let me down. It has a leak somewhere in it, so both nights I woke up on the ground. But
blow-up mattresses, I've never met one that works. They always let you down. But Jesse had a yoga mat. I had just the old foam from Clark Rubber, and we were loving life in our little tent. Jesse Mawson, co-captain of the Budgie Boys, by the way, brought along this great little two-man tent that popped up straight away. Now, I'm not much of an outdoorsy type. I'm not much of a camper, but I put this thing up in about 5 minutes. Now, I did put it up back to front.
Yeah.
And I was able to undo it all and then put it back together the right way. So all up, it took me probably 10 minutes to put this thing up. I recommend, if you know what this tent is, Jesse, maybe send through a message, because, oh my goodness, I recommend anyone who's thinking about camping, forget about your swags, forget about sleeping in the car, forget about the canopies or the gazebos, because there was a lot of gear going around this year.
Yeah,
all you need is one of these tents, because these things were amazing. We were very lucky with the weather, very warm, very sunny, no rain, which is a plus when you're camping. Last year it rained, but we were in the cabin last year.
Yeah.
So we were very lucky to keep nice and dry in the cabin last year. This year the weather was perfect. They were doing a little bit of backburning through the park to try and minimise some of the bushfires later in the year when it starts to really heat up here in Australia. So, Woofo, you had a bit of a chat to one of the fireys, and they were doing a bit of work. But when we came through one day, we had to be escorted by the fireys because you couldn't see through all the smoke. So they're doing controlled burns each side of the dirt road into the campsite. Now, just before we drove through, an ambulance or two ambulances went in, and there's a lot of debate about what happened, but we sort of got the inside scoop because we were gawking.
Yeah.
We were gawking. We were having a bit of a peruse about what was happening in this situation because we were worried it might be one of our boys. Now, what had happened was someone was bitten by a snake. Now, no one knows what sort of snake it was.
Well, I heard that it's been confirmed it was a death adder.
So apparently the third most deadliest snake in Australia bit this guy. Now, if you get bit by one of these snakes, apparently you don't have very long to act.
No.
When we saw him, they had wrapped up his leg to try and prevent the venom from spreading up his body. But, oh my goodness, how scary was that? So there was two ambulances. Someone said there was a chopper going around. Someone said there was a chopper going around, but I don't know. You just got to get out of there. Now, I hope the guy's all right, and I think he was. But I heard he was going for a bit of a walk. He was with his misso. He saw the snake and freaked out. So he sort of did a bit of a jump, and that freaked out the snake. And then the snake had a go and jumped onto his leg. So, I'm not really selling it. It sounds like a pretty scary experience, but I didn't see any snakes. What I did see was a few dolphins this morning.
Yeah, there's heaps of dolphins.
You guys all loved them, but they were coming very close for my liking.
I never knew you were scared of dolphins.
I really dislike dolphins. See, I've never seen a shark. So I don't really have any fears when it comes to sharks, but when it comes to dolphins, I'm not a huge fan for a few reasons. I think they don't really know what they're doing. They love swimming in waves, but they get a bit of speed and they jump out. Now I don't think they can see you, nor do they care.
No.
So imagine getting hit by a dolphin.
Yeah, they're big boys.
That would hurt.
Yeah.
Also, we think about dolphins like Flipper. This is a dolphin that's lived in captivity. It's nice and blue and grey and shiny and it's pretty. These dolphins are wild dolphins. They've got barnacles all over their faces. They've got these big, gross blowholes. They're quite aggressive. And they've been known to be aggressive to not only humans but other animals. And they can actually get quite sexual. So the last thing you want is a dolphin humping your leg when you're trying to body surf. All you boys love them. Oh, look at the dolphins. I want to take photos of dolphins. I'm like, nah. I'd rather see a shark than a dolphin, to tell you the truth. Now, did you see any whales this weekend, Woofo?
No, last year we saw probably 20 to 30 dolphins just standing there on the cliff looking out to sea, but this year, none. I didn't see any at all.
Wait, dolphins or whales?
Oh, whales, sorry.
Yeah, what sort of whales come through?
I think it's the humpbacks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone spotted one. Dave Malloy's girlfriend spotted one. But yeah, I think wildlife was a bit scarce this year. I think last year we spotted a lot of dolphins, a lot of whales, a lot of seals.
Last year was earlier in the year though.
And it was a bit... Do you think it was a bit colder? Does that attract some
so I
of...
think part of the migration when they're going up the coast and down the coast. So I think they might be on their way back now. But last time they were definitely on the way up the coast, and yeah, they were jumping out of the water, full breaches, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
How good, yeah. So I'm scared of whales because one, those things are huge. And have you ever seen footage of a whale playing with a human?
No.
So what they do is, I'm just doing fear factor right now. I'm just scaring everyone. Whales, they're quite playful creatures, and if they grab onto a human's leg, what they'll do is they'll dive straight down to the bottom of the ocean with you in its mouth. Now, they're not trying to hurt you, but they're just playing. They're mucking around with you. But obviously, you're going to drown. So they come up for air every 2 minutes or so, and you've got to try and take a big breath while you're stuck in the mouth of this whale. And I've seen some footage of someone at like one of those theme parks that are awful and have animals like that in captivity. But I'm scared of whales as well. But they are. I'll give you that. Whales are majestic. I won't say a dolphin's a majestic animal, but a whale is a very majestic animal. And
Okay.
just the grand size of those things, it's incredible, and what they can do. And they love getting a bit of air. They love jumping up. And have you ever seen a whale hit a boat? You know how they do whale watching boats?
Oh, I've seen the footage of a whale jumping and landing on a canoe or like a kayak. Yeah.
That would be scary.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we might end it up there. We might maybe. What was your one highlight of Whomp Camp 2020, Woofo?
Oh man, put me on the spot. I just reckon, around the fires at night, I reckon that's the best time where everyone kind of gets together and talks about the different gear they've got or who made what. And there was like a couple of French, were they French, the guys? Alan and I can't remember his friend's name. And they both made these pretty impressive looking boards, kind of like a big mini piper, I suppose.
Okay.
But yeah, like just talking to people that you don't kind of get to see around Cronulla or in the Sydney scene that, pretty interesting characters.
Absolutely. I think, absolutely catching up with people you regularly don't get to body surf with, but also, having a beer and having a cook up. I think, seeing Woofo on the pots and pans was great. You cooking up those meatballs last night was amazing, and you'd always bring your little setup over to the fire and have a beer. You were drinking a few rashes with the boys and just loving life. So that was definitely a highlight for me. I think at the end of the day, what a seamless trip. We had a great drive up. We're having a great drive home now. We're about to have KFC for lunch. What else do you want in life?
Oh, mate.
We're living the dream.
This is it.
Yeah.
We've had a great trip. The only probably downside was the pub we went to on the way up.
It was a good pub. We had a nice beer and we had a bit of a punt, but there was a bit of a situation. A lady wanted to take her 2-year-old child into the pokies room and was denied. But that's the thing when you go to these sort of regional towns, that it's always fun to just stop in and have a beer and see the local characters. And it's even interesting. We spotted a few people I spotted one person with a garage hand planes hat on. And I was too nervous and awkward to ask him. He was actually running the canteen. But I was too awkward and nervous to ask him about his story and find out a bit more about how he came to become a body surfer, because really we're in the middle of nowhere. But I guess a lot of people migrate out this way because of how nice the lifestyle is. Like there's some great beaches and it's just surreal and absolutely serene. So if you get the chance, make the trip to Seal Rocks, and hopefully we'll see you here next year. But for now, we've got to get out of here. Do it all again real soon. Next week on the podcast, an absolute champion all the way from Newcastle, John Watson's going to be on the show, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we've got to get out of here. Do it again real soon. And remember,
it's always overhead when you're body surfing.
Yoo! Look at these guys. Wouldn't even know that we're recording a podcast. Don't give a fuck. It'd be cool if that was someone we knew.